Alright, so our last type of problem here deals with the medians of a triangle. So anytime you see the median, that you have to think about that 2/3 rule. And that 2/3 rule basically says that when a median crosses a triangle, which a median is from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side, and when that median crosses a triangle where two medians intersect, so this point here, it creates a break of the line where from J to N is 2 parts and E to N is 1 part. So from the vertex to this center point, and this center point is called the centroid, that creates 2 parts, and from the midpoint to the centroid, that creates 1 part. Keep in mind that's the vertex. So what we do with that information is we look at what information we're given and we say, how do those parts relate? So let's take a look. KN's that first part we're given. So that's from the vertex to the centroid. So that means this is 2 parts. And then if we look at the other one, NF, so that is from the midpoint to the centroid. So that's going to be 1 part from the midpoint to the centroid. So now that I know that that's 2 parts, Kn, and Nf is 1 part, what I can say is that 2 of these Nf's, so 2 Nf's, is going to be equal to 1 of the Kn's. And then from there, all I need to do is write an equation that says that. So I'm going to say 2 Nf's, in this case Nf is 2x minus 1. Notice I'm putting this in parentheses, it's very important that you do that, is equal to 1 of those Kn's, 3x minus 1. So now from here we've got an equation that has just that variable x in it, so we can just solve that equation for x, because that's what we want to find, x. So we're going to go ahead and distribute that 2 first for our first step of solving. 2 times 2x, 4x, 2 times -1, -2. Bring down this piece. So we're not doing anything with those parentheses, so we can just drop them off. Now from here we want to get our x's on the same side so that we can solve for x. So I always like to get rid of the smaller x. So if this is a positive 3x, I'm going to get rid of it by subtracting it. And if I did it to this side of the equation, I got to come over to the other side of the equal sign and do the same thing. Line that up with the other x so it easily cancels out there. 4 minus 3, that gives me a single x left, minus 2 is equal to that -1. And so then from there, solving this for x, I got to get rid of that -2, so I have to add 2 to both sides. So I get x is equal to +1. That's all the problem asked me to do, so I am done. X is equal to 1. If you wanted to check, you could take that 1 and substitute it back into these and see if what you get makes sense. Alright, same thing for the next one. Because it still deals with those medians, that means we're still dealing with that 2/3 rule, where we have 2 parts, 1 part, or 3 parts. So what I do is I'm going to look at each part, LF, starting off. So that's from the vertex to that F point, the centroid. So that is 2 parts. And then LU, well, that's from the vertex all the way down to the midpoint. So that's actually going to be all 3 parts. So with this one, we got to do a little bit of thinking, because if we have a 2-part and a 3-part, there's really no good way right off the bat to write an equation for that. So what I would recommend doing is taking this 2 parts and making it into a single part. So to do that, if LF is 2 parts, so this is 2, if I was to take this 2x, so that LF, which is 2x plus 8, if I was to divide that by 2, wouldn't that give me a single part? So if I do that, 2x divided by 2 is a single x. And then when you divide a binomial by a number here, you divide both by it. So we did 2x divided by 2, that gave us the single x. Now we're going to do 8 divided by 2, so that's going to give us that 4. So this is a 1 part. So that could actually represent this UF here, that 1 part. So now, from here, all I want to do is I want to figure out what is x. So if I know a single part's x plus 4, and then LU is 5 plus 4x, which is 3 parts, that means 3 of these is going to give me 1 of those. So that's how I'm going to write my equation. I'm going to say 3 of these gives me 1 of those. So 3 times that x plus 4 is going to give me, so it's going to equal 1 of those LUs, or 5 plus 4x. Now from here, I would just need to solve this equation by first distributing my 3. And I get 3x plus 12 is equal to 5 plus 4x. Now again, I want to get my x's together, and I always like to try to get the smaller x to the bigger x. So if it's a positive 3x, I'm going to subtract it from that side. And got to do the same thing to the other side of the equal sign. So that side cancels. I'm left with 12 here is equal to 5 plus 4x minus 3x. So that's just a single x. Now to solve for x, I got to get rid of that 5. It's being added to x, so I have to subtract it to get rid of it. Do it to one side, got to do it to the other. And we get final answer here of 7 is equal to x. That's what the problem asks me to do. So there's my final answer, x is equal to 7. Now let's go ahead and actually check this one to make sure we got it right. So to do that, we're going to take the 7 and we're going to substitute it in up here. So we're going to do 2 times 7 plus 8. And then we're going to do the same thing here, 5 plus 4 times 7. So let's simplify these real quick. 14, 2 plus 7, or 2 times 7 is 14, plus 8, that's going to give me 22. And then on this one, 5 plus 4 times 7, which is 28, plus that 5 is going to give me 33. So would those two numbers, 22 and 33, make sense? So that means the blue would be 22, and the green would be 33. And if 22 is a double, that means the single is going to be 11, and then the 3 part would absolutely have to be 33. So that makes sense. So that's kind of how you can check yourself if you want to make sure that you did the work correctly. Alright, but that's all we need to know about triangles and constructions. So if you feel pretty confident with this review, I'm sure you'll do fine on your test.